right, so this is probably one of my most requested videos of how I did it. I'm gonna go through and show you how I make the flamethrower ignition system for the flamethrower exhaust. What I'm gonna use to do this is the ignition coil. It doesn't matter what you use. You can use a GM one. This one's a Ford. You can get the old cylinder style if you like. Just basically need some kind of an ignition coil, whatever works for you. A relay. If you want dual exhaust, you're going to need a couple of those. Condensers, same thing. If you want dual exhaust, you're going to need 2 of those. And then a ballast resistor. I picked this one because it has 2 elements in it, and I can actually run 2 separate coils off of the same resistor. I'm going to zoom in here. Hopefully we'll get the part number off of that. If not, I'll put it in the description. I'm going to assemble this and show you how it makes the coil fire. So first thing you have to know is your relay. Your relay has 5 wires in it. 2 activate the coil inside the relay, and the other 3 are the power inputs and outputs. So right now, with no power going to these 2 wires, this black wire is connected directly to this blue wire. This red wire is an open circuit until this wire and this wire make contact inside the relay. Then this wire shuts off, and this wire become active. The pins are 80, what are the numbers? So a brief wiring diagram, you can find it on the top of the relay. Your pin 85 and your pin 86 are going to be the white and the yellow. The pin 30 is going to be your black wire. 87A is going to be your blue wire. And 87 is going to be your red wire. How we're going to wire this, we're not going to use this wire at all. What we're going to do is tell this relay to turn itself on and off as fast as it can to energize and activate the coil. How we do that is we take and we tie one of the 85 or the 86 wires to the center pin that's active all the time off of this wire. So by putting these 2 together and connecting them, you've now made this wire send power into the relay, comes out of the blue wire, puts power into the yellow wire, and makes the relay turn on if you switch this to a ground. Simple example is this white wire is now a ground, and if I send power into this, you'll hear the relay click on and off. Now the relay's buzzing really fast, and it's turning power on and off to this circuit. If you hook that directly up to the coil will not work because there's not enough stored energy just in the relay to actually activate the coil. That's where the condenser comes in. So what you're going to do with your condenser is, I took this out of a small block Chevy distributor. You can get one out of any points type distributor or HEI. Parts store will have a condenser. They're not hard to come by. I like it stealing them out of an HEI because it comes with this little extra wire instead of just having this tip, so that way you can plug it in. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a connection between the feed power supply and the relay turn on and off. And I'll show you that once I get it all wired up here. I actually don't even have a crimper. Let me grab that quick and I'll... Okay, so what I'm going to do here, excuse me, I'm going to crimp a ring terminal onto the relay wires that I have tied together here, which that didn't work really well. I'll get that terminal. And then we're going to be able to put a bolt through the ring terminal and bolt it to the outside case of the condenser. I'm only going to lightly tighten this in because it's just going to sit there for a second. Next, these 2 have to be connected. So my little wire It's going to connect between the circuit like this. Okay, so my black wire, which is pin 30 of the relay, I have the condenser attached to that end. I'm going to take a buck connector and connect this end. So now those are fused together. And then I have a toggle switch to turn the system on and off. And I'm going to wire that into the other end of this connector. So this will be my power supply where I'm feeding 12 volts into the relay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crimp that. So next, we have to add a ballast resistor in between the relay and the coil to keep the coil from overheating. So that's where this comes in handy. And these are kind of nice. You just plug in the plug-in terminals. And we have to attach one more wire to a ring terminal. Okay, so then this is going to be the feed wire that comes from the relay, where you have the pin 87A and pin 85 connected together. You're going to add a ring terminal, and you're going to go into your ballast resistor, and you're going to bolt these together here. Now this will have 12 volts, so you don't want it to ground out. So once this connection's made, you're going to have to wrap electrical tape all the way around the condenser and kind of cover it to make sure that it doesn't ground out. If I can get the bolt started here. Get it tightened up. See if I can just tighten it with this. Right tool for the job. Use my wire splitter to tighten my nut up. It's working. All right, good enough. Okay, so now you're going to want to take, again, wrap this completely up with electrical tape and make sure this can't short out to anywhere on the ground or any part of metal, because this will have 12 volts fed to it from your ignition or from your switch. Okay. Now what we have to do is wire together the negative side of the coil to the other side of the relay. And for this purpose right now, I'm just going to twist these together, but normally you would butt connect them. And I'm going to attach this as my ground. Now, when I hook up the switch, I can now, well, let me set up the ground here. Let me get a little closer here. And we now have, I gotta ground the coil to the case better. Let me grab a jumper wire, because your coil needs to be grounded on the case side, which, will this open up big enough? Yes. And so this way I'm not jumping through the case to the magnet. And now you'll see, a little too far away. Very nice continuous spark. And obviously the bigger the spark, the harder working the system. So all you need to do is make your spark big enough that it's going to fire your spark plug. And just like that. All you have to do then is to add fuel. Obviously I'm not going to spray fuel on it. I'm going to use a paper towel, but It's a hot spark. So, very, very simple. Obviously, double it up, put 2 relays together, and you have 2 outputs on your ballast resistor if you use this particular one. Otherwise, you can use any ballast resistor. So then, all you should have to do is hit your switch, and you should flawlessly have ignition. Add your fuel. And you should have flames coming out your exhaust pipes. Pretty high voltage. I don't suggest you touch it. But as testing it, starts paper towel on fire, no problem. So I hope you understand exactly how this works. Biggest, most important thing you have to remember is you need this condenser. And I'll prove it right now because I'm going to unplug it. And so now this is no longer in there, but the system is still wired the same. And the only thing that happens is the relay just buzzes. And you'll get no spark output. You might get a very, very faint, yeah, you get a very faint spark. But you absolutely need to have a condenser. And it'll provide you with a very strong spark every time.